Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to today's Words of Wisdom. Today's is from April 23rd, and I quote, "Once you start to develop spiritual powers, paradoxically, it is very important to be intellectual and rational." From The Laws of Secret by Master Okawa. Thank you very much. So I guess in today's audience of this video, I hope it's everyone who's already on the spiritual path and who already accepts spirituality to a certain extent. So the more you do training here in Happy Science, you do become more spiritual. There are times you'll start being able to read other people's minds. There are times when you'll be able to kind of foresee the future coming before it occurs. And these sorts of, like you get a hunch and it's correct. These are all kind of forms of spiritual power that sometimes we tap into when we are training here in Happy Science. What I mean by training is focusing on cleansing the mind out of love and through self-reflection. And when this occurs, it's so important for us to stay on the ground. Don't be floating in air in that spiritual bubble only, because it's, as this book, Laws of Secret, out of the 5 chapters, 3 of them is about exorcism, right? For spiritual people, they are the prime target by evil spirits. It's easy to sweep your legs off the floor when you are kind of like feeling good with your spirituality, or slightly becoming arrogant, feeling that you're different from people in society. And that difference doesn't mean that you're just kind of like not being able to fit yourself in that social environment, but you start feeling that you're higher than other people. That's when things starts getting dangerous. And in order for us to stop from going to that dark aisle, what we need to do is the pursuit of intellect and reasoning. And Master Okawa, this is very courageous for a religious leader to say, but he is telling us to read 1,000 books or 1,000 classics, really books that has standed the test of time and expand your horizon of knowledge. He promotes us that. Usually in a religion, you don't want to do that, because the more intellectual people get, they'll start, feeling that there's truth in other religions, which is actually the truth, and they will not want to go to your church anymore. So that's why in a lot of evangelical priests, they'll say, "Oh, you only need Jesus. If you don't, you just need the Bible. Don't read anything else." They will say that. I've heard this so many times. If you're a Christian, if you're a viewer who's more open-minded, I don't mean to offend you, but you know how there's people like that in the Christian community, right? So Master is teaching us to read more books. Also, he's teaching us to read newspapers. One that is in line with your political views, and another that is the opposite of your political views. He's saying at least read 2 types of newspapers. By gaining information of what's going on in the world, that intellect will keep you grounded. Also, there are a lot of news that's out there where it depicts, or it talks about a story of a very successful person falling to the ground of misery out of like a sexual scandal or some sort of like embezzlement or money-related issues. These kind of like, unintentional things that they've done will come haunt them later in their lives, and their success just gets wiped away and they get forgotten from society. I think we've seen this many times in history. So it's important for us to also learn the logic of what you can do and what you cannot. Also, when you read the newspaper, you'll learn about new laws that's been enforced, so you'll know what to do and what not to do. So as you can see, gaining worldly knowledge is important for us to, 1, ground ourselves, And also, I know that I used to be one of them, so I can understand your pain, but the more spiritual you become, you don't really like that kind of negative information that occurs. But let me tell you this. And so then you refrain from reading that kind of newspapers or the news. But let me tell you this. If you are really, really wanting to save the people around you, you're going to have to understand what they're going through. So are you just going to stop at being a spiritually sensitive person, finding peace all the time, meditating in your home? Or are you going to take a step forward and go out in that world of disasters and like nasty things, nasty phenomena? And are you going to courageously help those people that are suffering out there? I believe Master is wanting us to be the latter type. That concludes today's video. Let me read it again to close it off. Once you start to develop spiritual powers, paradoxically, it is very important to be intellectual and rational. From the Laws of Secret by Master Okawa. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.